mercenaries. I thought I'd do a quick video to explain the absence of a lengthy video that you may have seen if I had posted it. 3 hours long it was. 3 hours long. I recently asked you guys to come up with some questions. I was quite surprised. I wasn't sure whether there would be any questions for me. And then you guys came at me. You just came at me. And we're 120 questions in now. At the point where I filmed, I did do it. I filmed the video. We had 92 questions, I think it was. And I sat here and I answered 92 questions. I answered every question. Right. What I've learned personally, because it's personal experience here, what I learned from this experience: don't drink. This, you can apply this to life in general. I mean, I'm not talking about water here. If you've got anything important to do in your life, don't drink. You will choose to ignore that advice, but honestly, it's good advice. 3 hours, a 3-hour video. Every question I answered, the problem was, and it was very similar to the time that I did a Discover of a Ryan Adams album. Yeah, Ryan Adams, I should have known better. But some of the video was quite good, the 3-hour video. But it got to the point where you just have to realise, and this is another piece of advice for you, right? Sometimes it's better just to press delete. It's just better to press delete. No matter how much time and effort you put into something, sometimes you've just got to know when to call it quits. Every question. 92 questions. 120 questions in now. Let's just answer one question right now. Why not, all right? Because I vaguely remember answering this question the first time. Tillman Minter. He asked. Like I say, I've already answered it. Tillman Minter asks, what would be your 5 most important tips for an up-and-coming rock band? I read this. I think I waxed lyrical for half an hour on this topic. Let's be more succinct now, because we've already spent over 3 minutes talking bollocks. Tillman Minter, I'm going to give you some advice. We've already had don't drink, and sometimes it's better to press delete. They hold true for 5 most important tips for an up-and-coming rock band. They might be tip number 6 and number 7. Let's get on with the first 5, all right? 5 tips. Tip number 1. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. You'll find yourself amidst trends and genres. You'll find yourself amidst grunge or Britpop, or whatever the current thing is. There's 2 issues with this one. You'll feel that the easiest road to take is to jump on the bandwagon. So if Oasis are the biggest thing, you'll feel like the easiest thing for you to do is to play like Oasis. And back in the Britpop days, you had band after band after band just coming and falling and coming. You ended up with Northern Uproar. That's where we got to at that point. And that happens with all of them. It happens with grunge. Yeah, you have the Groundbreakers. And everyone follows. Everyone follows. And the second issue with it is, it's not just easier. It's also that you're into it. So if you're a current band and you're into King Gizzard and a Lizard Wizard or Tame Impala or MGMT or whatever, that's what you're influenced by. That's probably what you're going to end up playing. Music like that. But don't worry what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about it. If you want to do it, that's fine, but don't feel obliged. Some of the bands that are most remembered now from the Britpop era are the bands that weren't playing Britpop. While everything else was going on around them. All the Britpop. Or back in the grunge day. All the grunge. Or back in the punk day. Who do you remember from the punk times? Do you remember the Spludginetta Bounds? Or do you remember the Stranglers and the Police? Just be careful. Get your reasons for doing the music you're going to do. Get them right. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. That's tip 1. Tip 2, rules are there to be broken. But you'll probably realise too late. Now this is one that everyone will tell you. They'll say, rules are made to be broken. Rules exist to be broken. But first of all, you've got to know what the rules are. You've got to be completely au fait with the rules to know which rules you're going to break. I don't even necessarily think that's true. But rules are made to be broken. And it follows on a little bit from what I was just saying. You might be a band that's rehearsing quite happily with just 2 people, a drummer and a guitar player singer. And it comes to playing live and you think, oh, we've got to get a bass player in. And then so you do that because you feel that's the rule. You've got to have a bass player. And then while you're following the rules, a band comes along like the White Stripes or whatever and just blows the rules out of the water. And then everyone looks at that and they say, that's the new rule. That's the new rule. And I've got vinyl records over there of bands that are just 2 people. That became the norm for a while. Oh, what do you want a bass player for? What do you want a guitar player for? The band that initially breaks the rule wins. And then we go back to tip 1, which is don't worry about what everybody else is doing. There's a theme here. There's a theme here. I tell you, rules are there to be broken. And honestly, 99.9% of you won't realise how true that rule is until it's just too late. Tip 3. Don't worry about being perfect. Mistakes become important moments in your life. We put so many things off in life, or we have the potential to put so many things off in life by trying to be perfect. Rehearse, 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 rehearse. We won't play our first gig until we're perfect. We won't do this till we're perfect. We won't record that till we're perfect. Finished, on display, imperfection is better than perfect nothing. It's far better. Just do it. Imagine you're in a Rocky film. Just do it. No matter how bad it goes, just do it. Mistakes, bad experiences, they become talking points. Sometimes those talking points are more important than some of the good things that you do. The perfect gig won't be remembered. It'll be the time that you drank 5 pints before going on stage and you couldn't remember any of the words or any of the guitar chords, which is a problem when you're the singer and guitar player. They're the gigs that people will talk about. They're the gigs that you yourself will talk about 20, 30 years later. The perfect gigs? Yeah, perfect gigs are great. How did we do tonight? Yeah, you were really good. Oh, cool. It's not as good as the time you tripped over your guitar cable and broke your nose. That was the one they'll remember. Don't worry about being perfect. Just do it. Just get out there. Just do it. Create moments. Create moments. Create moments. Create moments. Tip 4. Image is just as important as the music. You will hear musos talking about this. Oh, it's all about the music. Oh, it's all about the music. If you play good music, the world's your lobster and all that sort of shit. No. For the rare few, maybe. But image is just as important as the music. Image can be more important than the music. Yes, consider what you look like. Yes, consider what your guitars look like. Yes, consider what everything looks like. All these tips end up combining those moments with the image and the rule breaking. The fact is, it's rare to break through in the music industry. It always was rare. People will argue about whether it's easier or harder today with the proliferation of bands everywhere, coming at you all the time. It's impossible. Bands, 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 bands. It's almost impossible to make it. But right now, there's a band out there somewhere, an artist out there somewhere, who these tips are all coming together for them. There's someone out there right now doing something different that no one else is doing. They're breaking the rules. They've got the image right. They're not listening to what anyone else is up to. They're making mistakes. And they're going to come at us. And it probably isn't you. It probably isn't you. Maybe it's one of you out there. but it probably isn't you. And when you hear this music that this artist or band makes, it's going to blow you away. And you and I are going to think, why didn't I think of that? But we didn't think of it, they did. They'll be famous and you won't. And they'll kickstart another genre. And everyone will try and be like them because they'll ignore tip 1, tip 2, and tip 3. And tip 4. They'll ignore it all. You'll just get a load of bands all copycatting. Tip 5. This is the obvious one. You knew this one was coming. Tip 5. Practice, practice, practice. For all the wisdom that are in tips 1, 2, 3, and 4. And even, it sounds counterintuitive when I'm telling you just to do it and get out there and make mistakes and create moments, create momentum. Just remember, you can still do it behind the scenes. Practice, practice, practice. Get together as a band. Practice, practice, practice. Get to the point where you can do it blindfolded. Get to the point as a guitar player where you never have to look at your guitar. You don't even have to glance at it. Know the lyrics off by heart. You can still make those mistakes and still just get out there and do it, but just be prepared to be a damn good band as well. And I think, as far as tips go for an up-and-coming rock band, if you do those 5 things that I've just come up with now on the spot, if you do those 5 things, you, my friend, will rule the heavens and the earth. Thank you. Thank you for those questions. Like I said, I'm going to dip my toe in every so often here. I'm a bit annoyed about it for the moment because I did spend 3 hours of my life and I did answer every question. It's just a shame. It's not your fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. I'm just an idiot. What can I do? So, let me know. Let me know if you want any more questions answered. You might have listened to the answer to this question and just thought, well, I don't want my question answered. You might be Ben2D. Ben2D says, what got you into vinyl records? He might watch this video and say, do you know what? Mercurial number 6, I don't care now. Because you just talk bollocks. Anyway, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I appreciate every view. I really do. Thank you. Over and